So you've decided to buy a house or a condo. Woohoo! All right, but hold on before you grab those keys and your purse and head out the door to look at property, like so many people do. There's 5 things that you need to do before you start the process, and I'm gonna talk to you about them right now. Welcome back. I am Michelle Miller with Michelle Miller Realty and Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Arizona Properties. And if you're new to the channel, we are talking about all things real estate, as well as the Scottsdale market and lifestyle here. So the first step, and today's topic actually is we were talking about steps you need to do before you head out in your car and start looking at property. All right, first and foremost, talk to your lender if you are financing, or your financial advisor if you are paying cash. You really need to know what it is that you can afford, and really what your max budget is. Because the last thing you want to do is start looking at property that you can't afford, fall in love with it, and then you're just absolutely heartbroken that you couldn't have that property. So don't even let yourself go there. Really know what you're in for, and then tell your agent a number that's lower than your max budget, because last thing you want to do is have them push your limit and then you're in the same situation. Step number 2 is talk to your financial advisor or your lender. If you're going to purchase anything in the state of Arizona, you have to provide either at a minimum or pre-qual with every offer, or if you're paying cash, you need a letter of credit. So ask your financial advisor, whoever is holding on your money, if you're paying cash, for a letter of credit that says, yes, you can in fact afford a home that is X dollars amount. If you are financing, if you can get pre-approved, that's even better. That means that you've been through some level of underwriting and that they've assessed your finances and that you are a good candidate for receiving a loan. In a really competitive market like we have right now in 2020, you need as much weight behind your offer as possible. So a pre-approval will always look better than just a pre-qualification, which is just basically a cursory look at your finances that said, yeah, you're a good candidate, your credit score is good, I've looked over you're employed and you've been employed for a while, all those things. Okay, step number 3. This is a biggie that a lot of people don't ever take into consideration, and it is determining your closing costs. So closing costs are, everybody just looks at their mortgage, but they don't really realize that there's a lot of cash you have to come up with when you go to the table to sign the paperwork. So first of all, there's the earnest money that you're going to have to put down from the get-go when you put an offer in. So that's usually at a minimum 1% of the purchase price. So that could be, well, I guess it depends on the price of your house, but so factor at least 1%. Then if you're financing, there are costs associated with getting the loan. There's an origination fee, the lender charges for their time. I know they don't work for free. What is wrong with these people? In Arizona, there is title insurance. So if you are financing, you as the buyer will have to purchase a title insurance policy because you don't own the home. Now, if you're going to pay cash, you don't have that, but there's still escrow fees and recording fees and all that stuff. So you can ask title for an estimation of your costs, or your agent can, and then ask your lender so that you are really prepared, because the last thing you want to do is find a house, write an offer, and then you can't close. So now you put your earnest money at risk. That could go out the window, and the seller might sue you. So nobody wants that. All right, step number 4 is determine your must-haves and maybe the what would be nice things. And so what do I mean by that? A lot of people don't really ask themselves the question, why am I moving? Like, what is really wrong with my current living situation that I want to get out of this place? Is it noisy neighbors? Is it I'm so tired of driving my kids 45 minutes each direction to school? My commute to work is too long. What is it that's driving you to make this move? Maybe it's just that you want to start building equity. That's great. But there are things that you're really going to be needing in a property. So you need to make sure that you have that laid out so that when you're going to look at the property, you can adequately assess one property versus another property. I did have a client, I thought it was a great idea, that made a spreadsheet. They weighted the different items. And so then, and so like you could say, my job, my commute to work, super, super important. So you might give that more weight than say You know, if it had a built-in barbecue, that would be great, but I don't necessarily have to have that. I do have to have 4 bedrooms, and I do need an office, you know, things like that. Make a chart, and then when you go through each house, you're gonna assign it a value, and so that way you can weed out the ones that really aren't gonna do it, because sometimes this is what people happen. They walk in, oh my gosh, I love this place. And they get so caught up in the features and the fixtures and all that stuff. But then they're like, they get in a house and it doesn't work for them because they really didn't, you know, assess it outside of the beautiful parts of the house. They didn't really look at, does it really fit my needs? And so then they end up moving in a couple years, and then they start the whole process over again. So I don't think you want to do that. So really take, you know, have a good conversation with yourself or your family members and figure out what those things are. Number 5, determine where it is that you want to live. So here in Scottsdale and Phoenix, this valley is huge. It's very long and it goes east to west. I mean, there's so many different areas and there's so many little pockets. And so part of that's going to play into part number 4 is what's important. Is it the schools? Is it the commute? Things like that. And narrow it down, because otherwise you're going to find yourself looking in all different directions. And 1, you're going to be super confused. 2, you're going to be exhausted. And you're just going to be so frustrated with this process that you might just give up altogether and be like, oh, forget it. I don't want to move. And right now in 2020, our interest rates are so great. It is a great time to buy. If you're moving to an area that you don't know, you know, what certain areas have to offer, this is where an agent can become really helpful. And so you can talk to them. They can, you know, explain different areas, ask you great questions about what it is that you need in your property. And then they might be able to help you point out some areas. Now, legally, we are not allowed to steer you in any particular direction, but we can give you the pros and cons to different areas to help you, you know, narrow down that search. And then on top of that, I would always recommend that you know, it's worth a couple $100s for a flight to come out, you know, have a day or a weekend or whatever, that you go out with the agent and really start looking at the different areas to figure out if, you know, if they do in fact fit your needs. If you're looking for a family community, if you're looking for great access to restaurants and shopping, you know, only you know what's important and the look and feel of a neighborhood. And nobody can answer that question. We can't answer that as agents. You have to be the one that tells us and tell us where it is that we should start looking for your property. Now, if you are thinking of moving, you might have a property that you need to liquidate before you can move or buy another one. So you might be interested in my tips, my staging tips. There, I'll put a link below in the description. There's 10 tips. I have used them over and over again with my properties. I've never had a property on the market for more than 7 days, even in a non-frenzy market. So they do work. You're gonna have to put a little elbow grease in there. I'm gonna just tell you that, but it does pay off. For every minute that you spend putting time into your house, getting it ready, it'll reap you dollars in return. So it is definitely worth the effort, or hire a great handyman. Well, you know, however you can get it done, but it will get you more money in the end. As always, if you have questions about the content of this video or other videos you've seen on this channel, please don't hesitate to reach out. I will put all my contact information below, or you can check out my website at michellemillerrealty.com. I have a blog with a lot of resources on there with a lot of different topics, and also my contact information is on there as well. I'd love to hear from you. So thanks as always for watching, and we will see you next time.